A ho ho hello and a Merry Christmas to you all. I hope that you're all doing exceptionally well. And if you're watching this on the day of its upload, that means you're actually spending this year's Christmas of 2024 with me for a little while at least, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you for tuning in to the final episode of my Advent Calendar series of this year, where I'm ranking all of the highest charting songs on the Billboard year-end charts from 2000, and now finally it's 2024. It's the most recent year-end charts with songs that are still quite fresh in my memory, because some of them you hear on a kind of a daily basis if you turn on the radio still now. In Sweden, where I'm from, these are not all huge hits, but most of them I would say that I'm quite familiar with. But some of them I really had to listen to for the first time a few days ago to refresh in my, or to really get into all of the songs in this list. I've made sure that I've listened to every song at least 5 times to kind of make my mind up on exactly what I think about them. I also have all of the names written down here on my little notes so that I can cheat in case I forget what a song is called, or if it has a feature or anything like that. Without further ado, I'll get right into talking about these 20. I'm starting from number 20, which isn't actually number 20. This is number 22. It's Post Malone and Taylor Swift with Fortnight. And the reason why it's number 22 is that both Cruel Summer by Taylor Swift and Snooze by Za or SZA, or however it's pronounced now, they were both in the 2023 year-end charts, so I kind of had to skip them. So number 22, Fortnight by Taylor Swift and Post Malone. And I think this one has a few standout qualities about it. I think there's a nice little rhythmic flow of the chorus melody that's really pleasant. I think there's a cool production and setting around the song that I think is quite poignant, really. Stands out in that aspect. However, the song is a bit on the slow side and a bit uneventful in its development, I would say. Kind of like a pedestrian continuation is really what it relies a lot on, and that ultimately does not interest me super much and doesn't really engage my interest. It takes a bit too long to really get going. I think it's very neat that with a Post Malone feature in this song, and what really took me by surprise is just how soft his input in this song is. He fits this song quite nicely in an unexpected way, I would say. His input is just very soft and fits this track like a hand in a glove, really. However, I still think that maybe it is a little bit of a disappointing listen overall, because I don't think it really activates me as a listener, I suppose, and engages me that much. I'm placing this one in the D tier. I still think there are a fair amount of redeeming qualities about it. It's just ultimately not that exciting, and I think there are superior songs on this Taylor Swift album that she dropped in 2024. But this one's fine. It's fine. Moving on to Doja Cat's Paint the Town Red, which, if you watch this series throughout, you know that what my kind of music preferences usually are. This isn't really one of them. I'd say this is very minimalistic in both in terms of melody and instrumental. I would say the beat is kind of like a flat line throughout, from start to finish, really, which I find to be kind of underwhelming and disappointing. The chorus, I think, may have a little bit of a hook that some could sing along to, but I find the intonation of it to be quite tiresome. This whispery vocal style that it has going for it doesn't really help either to make it engaging. It's a song I honestly still immediately forget just after listening to it, even though I've given it a fair amount of plays. It's not something that sticks with me. I'm placing this one in the E tier. I don't think it's particularly interesting in any way, to be completely honest. Sorry about that. I'm moving on to something that I find to be way more interesting, which is Saturn by SZA or Za. She appears in every list, and I still haven't bothered to actually learn how to pronounce her artist name. Maybe I should actually do that soon. Anyway, this song Saturn here, it's very compelling to me. I love this spacious ambiance that the song has. It's an effective kind of world building, just relying on heavy reverb use mainly, and then this key motif that I think like builds up the song melodically is very just hollow and airy in terms of its sound design. It just kind of goes along with the pads in a way that makes you feel like you're floating in space listening to this. At least that's the image I get in my head. The bass is kind of like the anchor that keeps the song quite grounded and still on Earth. We're not getting lost entirely. The bass is there to kind of be the constant pulse of it. Meanwhile, I'll just call her Ziza from now on. I think her vocal performance is just packed with clarity and beauty that is impossible to resist. She carries the song forward. It's, for me, this is 3 minutes of just laying down and getting lost in this vivid soundscape, and I love every second of it. I'm placing this one in the A tier, very clearly up there. A proper standout from 2024, in my opinion. Moving on to another, perhaps even greater standout in my opinion. What a find this has been. Chappell Roan with Good Luck Babe. And compositionally, might not be the most groundbreaking thing out there. I mean, it's the same kind of chords going over and over again. But it doesn't really matter because arrangement-wise, however, there is a very lush soundscape to this song. The instrumentation feels very full and complete and really kind of impressive in terms of its grandness, I would say. There is a very characteristic vocal delivery from Chappell Roan here that kills just every part of the song in a positive way, that is. The chorus is just soaring with this melodic beauty, really being the standout aspect of it all. I think the groove of the song is very snappy. It's not along friendly. I feel myself moving along with the beat throughout its runtime. And again, those choruses, they simply just soar. I have to say, this elevated mood and towering sense of release that really comes with them, it's unmatched. I think this is one of the most satisfactory listens of the year. It's one of the more playful songs in this selection as well. I think it can't be anything else than an S tier. This is the proper standout breakthrough single of the year, and there's a reason why I guess so many what do you call them, review websites have placed it as the greatest hit song of 2024. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I'm a bit surprised that it's so low on the list actually, but it's on the list and it's topping my tier list for this year as well. Moving on to another Doja Cat song. This one is called Agora Hills, and this one I feel much more for than what was the other one called? Paint the Town Red? Yeah. I think like the main thing about this one is that I really managed to sympathize with the message of this due to how, I guess, vulnerable I find Doja Cat's kind of self-reflection in this song to be. I think it would have been more poignant if it had scrapped all of the work with the auto-tune. I think that kind of hinders the emotional impact that the song could have. However, instrumentally, I think this atmospheric synth work and subtle beat is very nice for presenting, I guess, the lyrical content of the song that I think is its striking aspect, really. These brief spoken word sections are quite nice as well. They're creatively incorporated with like a heavy filter showing like an external context to this vocal recording, really, because that makes it sound a bit refreshing and contrasts the whole vocal arrangement, I suppose. It's cleverly executed in that way. If I had been more responsive to songs within this genre and style of music, I probably would have found myself to enjoy this even more. But ultimately, I find the song as a whole to be quite uneventful to put on a playlist or listen to when I'm in particular moods. I just don't see myself returning to it. However, I really admire the sincerity of it all and of the ambition as well to share some kind of inner contemplations, really, of stardom, I suppose. It's quite an interesting one to listen to, and I really took it to heart when I did listen to it all of the times. I think it hits quite hard. It's just something that I wouldn't really return to. I'm placing this one in the C tier. It has a solid impact on me and enjoyable enough. I just don't see myself particularly returning to it very often, but I understand if others do, and I understand why if others would find some proper great feelings towards it. Next up will be Please, Please, Please by Sabrina Carpenter, an artist who will appear twice, I think, in this video. I really expected her to appear more than twice, but I think it's only twice. Anyway, this is the first of them, and this song has some really neat guitar work, like in the verses mainly. The finger-picking arrangement is quite nice and expressive, I'd say. It's a bit drowned out with other instrumentation, but it's still there as the core element. The descending chord interval in the choruses I find to be very, very nice. I'm not a big fan of maybe the pausing that the choruses do, which I think is a bit of a of a disappointing feature really in there that takes me out of the whole enjoyment that I'm feeling from it. They're stylistic choices, but I just find the flow of it all to suffer a bit from that kind of phrasing. After the first chorus, though, there's a fun little key change coming into the second verse, which I think is really refreshing here. It's a nice switch up and quite unexpected, really, coming from such a high charting pop song over on the Billboard charts. It's a charming change. The development of the track is that way as well. I think I will actually want to place this in the B tier. It's not a song that I really return to that frequently, and I find the choruses to be a little bit of a letdown with that phrasing that they have, but still an enjoyable listen and a pretty good tune there. So I'm placing that in the B tier. As I move on to Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, which yeah, I can say a lot of things about it. It's yet another immaculate production by Phineas. It's yet another glorious vocal performance by Billie Eilish. This song just flows so beautifully that I just get lulled in and comforted by it almost immediately as it starts. It begins just straight to the point. The beat joins in. The instrumentation is already full at this point. However, as the song progresses, it gets grander, more impressive, more engaging as well. I feel like the flow of the track is really what sets it apart as well, because it feels so just reasonable and satisfactory, and it's a pleasant listen. The bass is subtle and simultaneously punchy in the song, which is quite interesting. I think each chord just extends the warmth that the one that preceded it has really presented, and the drum beat is also just like restrained yet kind of energetic. The song has a very constant pulse driving itself forward. The instrumentation also kind of just panned completely to create the most lush of soundscapes. It's impossible for me to not just drown in this really utopic environment. I'm definitely considering this to be an S tier song as well. I don't even know which one I prefer. I'll probably put Good Luck Babe above it because I think it's melodically more expressive, but I think both are phenomenal. Birds of a Feather definitely going in the S tier for me as well. So 2024, looking at it right now, good year. Let's see if we can keep it up. Next up will be Like That by Future, Metro Boomin, and Kendrick Lamar. And I'll just say this, that I don't get this kind of music. I really don't understand it. It's great for you. I think it's Future who starts off the song. It's great for him that women like his wealth and his fame. I don't have anything else to say about that. I guess the instrumental of the song is kind of cool with these drony synths. That's something that kind of stuck with me. But other things of the instrumental don't really. They don't really fit my fancy or whatever you say. I really despise this little pitched vocal chop sample that's just bouncing around the soundstage. It's very, very obnoxious. And the worst part of it all is this siren spam around 3.5 minutes or so into the song. It's one of the worst audio experiences I've had going through all of these years in this series. Whose idea was that? I have no idea. It's one of the most annoying things that I've had to listen to in any of these videos. I'm placing it in the F tier, like mainly due to that part, but overall the song isn't really something that I particularly enjoy either. So yeah, it's just not my kind of music. But the siren spam towards the end, I struggle to imagine anyone enjoying that part of the song. Not even the producer who put it together. I just don't get it. Anyway, let's drop that and let's move on to Greedy by Tate McRae, who I think apparently is kind of famous within a certain demographic, I suppose. I have no idea who this person is. Maybe I should have read up a little bit. But the song that I got here was quite a nice little listen. It hasn't really stuck with me, but it was fun while it lasted, really. There's some playful detailing through I think panning and sound effects usage, which is quite neat. Very well mixed. Also, like allowing all of these minor inputs, allowing them a lot of space in the soundstage, which makes it feel very complete and cohesive in that sense. I think the song is vocally quite predictable, ultimately, but it has a neat hook. It's a foot tap friendly song. It's energetic. I get invested into it, even though it doesn't really stick with me in my head afterwards. I can put it on at any time and just kind of enjoy it. So I'm placing this one in the B tier. I think it's a nice listen. Strong pop song there. with character and attitude in it as well. Moving on to Noah Kahan. I'm actually not sure. This is Stick Season. I've listened to this artist for quite a while, and I've never bothered learning the name. But I'm very, very glad for his sake that he ended up becoming so successful. I think mainly this year is probably his proper like just explosion or to stardom and to fame, I suppose. Incredibly expressive singing is what really has drawn me towards him throughout the years, and also this authentic, natural instrumentation that he goes for. It's very much in the singer-songwriter vein of composing music, and that's something that I've always kind of enjoyed. I think that each of his songs kind of sound like a passion project, and this one is no different. It has a very sweet approach, this one, and it goes all in for its own style and preference, and it doesn't really deviate from it. He goes all in for what he wants to do and doesn't hold back in that sense, and I think that's quite admirable. It's dynamic also in terms of the intensity throughout the song. I think those choruses go very, very hard and really kick in the energy. They're both explosive and charming, and the verses follow along quite nicely as well. It's an A-tier song, I think. Very fun listen. I'm stoked that it's such a high charting song. I can't wait to see what's coming up next for Noah. I'm deciding not to pronounce the surname for reasons. Moving on to Too Sweet. That's what it's called. Too Sweet by Hozier, and I'm stoked that Hozier is back on the charts after so many years. Of course, if you watched the 2014 tier list ranking, you'll know my thoughts on Take Me to Church. I'll quickly just mention that I think that is one of the greatest songs that I've talked about throughout this series. Too Sweet isn't quite in the same bracket, I suppose, but it's not the same type of song either. That's the thing. This one is just like Take Me to Church, really. It's fantastically sung. It's a dynamic vocal performance with so much personality and effort being put into it. You feel like it's one of these performances where I listen to every word because of just how engaging it really is, I suppose. There is instrumentally very forceful bass presence in this song, which is quite nice. Some snappy bass walks in there with a proper punch to the sound design of it. There is an unpredictable movement in the development of this song, I think. It's well played, it's well recorded, and the mixing is boosting and enhancing all of those very convincing and assertive details in the track. I think there are some noteworthy drum fills that are really fun in this song as well. I think that shouldn't pass one by. It feels very real and raw and proper in terms of its both composition and execution here in the recording and the mixing and the production. It's characteristic, it's very competent, great hook as well, really hits very hard and just works. I think it's an A-tier song. I'm placing it at the top of A even as well in this list here. And I move on to I Remember Everything by Zach Bryan and Kacey Musgraves. And this song is entirely arranged to its storytelling, which is quite nice. I think the phrasing as well could be quite effective in the song. Unfortunately, I don't really connect with the song, even though the intention is very clear. I think that Kacey Musgraves has a really lovely voice that elevates the song massively halfway through when she joins in. But altogether, the song is a bit too much middle of the road for me to really connect with it, I think. I find it to be it's hardly energetic enough for me to get invested into it, nor restrained enough to really showcase any vulnerability or for me to get hit emotionally by it. It's just kind of trundling along in the middle ground there and feels a bit pedestrian in that sense as well, I would say. It's a singer-songwriter tune that has a lot to say, but the accessible execution of it kind of hinders that ambition, I would say. I'm placing this one in the D tier. I think it fits quite nicely next to Fortnight there by Taylor and Post. But not too bad. It's just kind of there for me. Didn't leave much of an impression on me, I suppose. Something that definitely left a huge impression on me would be $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richman here, which is a song that's produced with such heavy compression, such odd choices in terms of sound design, in terms of cohesion, and in terms of the mixing, that I can't wrap my head around it. The sound, certain sound inputs of this song are intentionally cut as if there's some kind of automated glitch filter on certain inputs that just goes up and down throughout the song. It's a chaotic arrangement, really, because of this excessive sound editing, which I don't understand. Like the thing I understand is that they want it to sound this chaotic and messy. The only thing that I don't understand is why would you want that? I guess it stands out, and maybe like is that the reason this song became a hit because it's just that wacky? I don't know. Outside of these like wacky ideas, I think it's a really catchy song. I think the vocal style is really dynamic on top of this industrial and quite rigid beat that the song has. This blend is very dynamic. I think the vocals are really bright, and that creates a nice layer to the song. Would have been a really fun listen for me if they didn't intentionally mess up the production of it. Still, I find it to be interesting enough to put it in the C tier, but I feel like I may be a bit generous on that. But it's absolutely a song that if you have a really poor speaker, I think it sounds better, because this song is messed with so much that in good speakers it sounds way, way, way worse than it should. But if you don't have a good speaker, then you don't really pay attention to it, maybe. So yeah, it's a C tier song on a poor speaker, I suppose. Anyway, moving on to the final few songs here, or there are still quite a lot of them. This is Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter. I gotta say, I'm shocked that this isn't number one, because I really thought this was like the biggest song of this year. Either this or Good Luck Babe, honestly. This is great though. It's a purposeful pop tune with a flirty 80s sound, really being the backbone of it all and being the front and center of it as well. Funky guitar work, distinct bass presence in the song, nicely layered percussion as well that just pushes the song forward. Lively vocal arrangement, plenty of harmonic lines, which makes it sound really fresh, I'd say. There's a fun vocoder use throughout the song as well. And just a fun package altogether. It has a lot of creative ideas, and it feels like they've had a blast putting it together. Memorable hook as well. It kind of uses this strong syncopation in the melody, which I think makes it stand out quite nicely. That's me Espresso, how that's just put on like every beat of the bar. Like each syllable hits a beat in that line. It's kind of very simple and straight to the point, but it's just so effective because it enhances that rhythmic distinction of the chorus. So I think that's a really strong aspect of it as well. Yeah, it's got to be an A tier song. I don't really know how to rank them up here. I'm placing this one above Stick Season, but below Saturn. Yeah, okay, let's go. Let's go with that. I think that works. All of them are great up here, though. Like seriously, in my opinion, anyway. Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar is the number 6 song here, and this is like I feel so strange going into this because it's like this is a rap diss track, of course. And it's charting on the year-end charts, which I find is very interesting, really, and unexpected. And I don't really know how to go about it because I never listen to diss tracks. I don't think this is a particularly enjoyable listen in that sense that I put on my playlist. I put it on shuffle, and if this comes on, I would get a bit taken aback from it. Really, I'm not that open to it, I suppose. If you're interested in the drama that I guess it's between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, then maybe this is amazing. What do I know? I just couldn't really care less about that because I'm not into the hip hop scene. I don't really particularly care much for either of these artists either. However, I can hear an effective rap diss track when I hear one, and this of course it's been very clear that Kendrick Lamar won this feud or whatever. It's still not really something that I put any interest in, but hey, kudos for making something that's so convincing and just clearly gave him a victory in that sense, I suppose. I do enjoy hearing Drake getting put in his place for sure after his statements of what was it, being too famous to ever be considered a pedophile, which just sits incredibly wrong. That's one of the worst kind of ways to defend yourself I've ever heard, really. It's very kind of just confirms a lot of suspicions, which is I don't know. So I enjoy hearing him get put to his place here. Is it an enjoyable listen for me though, this song? Not really, I gotta be honest. The beat is quite repetitive in my opinion. I understand a lot of people find it to be a very characteristic beat, but I don't find it particularly listenable. It's like this never-ending same synth string stabs that keep going throughout the song, and the triplet bass arrangement is never-ending as well. I don't know, like I'm just not sure how to approach a diss track in comparison to everything else here, but it pulls off what it sets out to do incredibly well. So kudos for that. I'm placing it in the D tier. Yeah, I just don't know where to put it. I don't enjoy listening to it personally, but I get what it wanted to do, and it succeeded in that. So well done in that regard. Next up will be Lovin' on Me by Jack Harlow, and this is completely predictable in every instrumental motion here. There is nothing refreshing about this song in my opinion. It might have a little bit of a sing-along friendly hook, maybe. It hasn't stuck with me, but I could see that being the case for sure. Unfortunately, there are these like vocals layered on vocals in the song during those hooks, which are quite annoying, and Jack Harlow is also incredibly monotonous in his work in this song, in my opinion. It's very goofy, and I think that it's a bit refreshing with hip hop artists taking themselves so non-seriously that they're just making fun of themselves. So I guess that's a fun aspect of it, but ultimately I would just never really listen to this. I'm placing this in the E tier. Yeah, it is what it is. Next up, we got Post Malone and Morgan Wallen with I Had Some Help, which is an unexpected collaboration, I think, but I see it. Like, it makes sense when you just know about the existence of it. It just makes sense because, I mean, Post Malone has, of course, kind of deviated a little bit at times from his hip-hop sound to being like the pop rock approach, and Morgan Wallen here combines his country with hip-hop beats, really, and flirts with that sound quite a lot. So it just makes sense for these two to go together and create this. I'm quite surprised really that there isn't much of a hip hop input in this song. This is all about just being kind of upbeat and fun, which I really admire. I think it's a fun listen, absolutely. It's a sing-along friendly chorus. It's upbeat, energetic throughout the song as well. The authentic instrumentation that I think the song kind of wants to claim that it has is unfortunately completely drowned out in the soundstage here, which I think is a bit of a shame. Still a decently fun listen with uplifting energy and a lot of warmth. I'm placing this in the C tier, top of C tier. Absolutely, I think it's a fun listen, but I have qualms with it as well that I think hold back my enjoyment of it a bit. Still refreshing to hear, and I think it's a nice hit song. 3 songs to go. The first one of those will be Beautiful Things by Benson Boone, a song that I was really excited about the first few times I heard it. I felt like it was emotionally poignant and striking. I initially really loved this song because of this passionate emotion that I felt was poured into it. And I particularly loved the verses, and I still do, I have to say that. The choruses, however, have gotten a bit grating on my ears because of the screechy vocal style that Benson Boone really uses in an overwhelming way. I didn't think of it much when I first initially heard this song, but the more I've heard it, I feel like tone it down a little bit, maybe. I feel like it's excessive, but there are still so many redeeming qualities about the song that I still enjoy listening to it. I think, as I said, the verses are great. I really like the fact that it's switching time signatures, going from the 4/4 to the 3/4 or the 6/8, if you will, in the build-ups and the choruses. The transition work between the two is kind of underwhelming. Like, it's just the song stops and then we got a new time signature and tempo, really. It's a bit disappointing how it switches between the two, but hey, it's still kind of like a creative approach to go about it, so I don't mind that much. I think that the song is also kind of incredibly dynamic. I'd have to say, in terms of its intensity, those verses are of course very scaled back and pretty, and then the choruses are super explosive. So I guess they're dynamic for better or for worse, whether you align with the song or not. I'm placing this one in the B tier as well. I think I'm actually placing it top of B tier because it will get some company, actually. I think it's going to get passed as well by a bar song parentheses Tipsy by Shaboozey, and this is another one who just broke through to the scene this year. This is the only song I've heard by Shaboozey, though. We'll see if he releases more songs that chart highly. But this is quite a fun listen. It's not groundbreaking in any sense of the imagination. It's the same 4 chords on repeat throughout the song, but I think there is a very charming approach in the arrangement here. The guitar sound is very natural, which is always a plus, I'd say. The bass is kind of anchoring the rhythm throughout the song, which is required as well. And the percussion is really focused on around like hand claps, which gives the song a very human touch, and I really like that aspect of it as well. And there's this kind of like Celtic, Irish flair with the fiddle really taking over after these very sing-along friendly choruses. It mostly, I think that the song feels just very inviting and wants to be, what do you say? wants to just get everyone to be a part of the fun and happy and uplifting vibes. It's all about like letting go of the worries in that you have in your life, I suppose, and just enjoy the time being. And I think the song sets out to do that quite nicely. As I said, it's not really an interesting song for many reasons, but it's still upbeat, uplifting. I think there is a fun flair to many of the instrumental aspects in it as well. So top of B tier for sure. And leading into the number 1 hit song of 2024 apparently, which was Lose Control by Teddy Swims. Another very unexpected pick for the number 1 spot in my opinion, but I'm not really complaining. I think this one is kind of cool. Like the staccato piano that's really the core of this song is not really my cup of tea. I don't find it to be particularly enjoyable. I think it gets a bit tiresome very, very quickly. Like the song has gone on for maybe 10 seconds and I'm already tired of that piano arrangement that it has. However, there are so many standouts about it as well. I think that Teddy Swims has a very powerful and assertive and authoritative vocal presence in the song. It's very compelling in that sense. The song builds with a lot of purpose, I would say. The bass work is persuasive and the rhythmic hits are just continuously distinct with kind of a swing to them as well. This slow tempo that the song really consists of, I think that combats this energy quite nicely. It's just this hard-hitting punch that emphasizes the slow tempo with that swing. I think that's just kind of effective. The sparse beats getting emphasized by these hard-hitting beats really is probably what makes this song such a head nodder, because I find myself definitely nodding along to it very, very easily. The choruses aren't really energetically engaging or anything, but the vocals really do steal the show, I would say, and those are the things that I really connect with. I feel very overwhelmed every time that the choruses hit because of the vocal performance, I'd say. Also love the little guitar solo. It's not really the most out there and impressive guitar solo, but it's an instrumental continuation that feels warranted and feels a bit refreshing within the mainstream music scene as well. It really gives the purpose of the progression of the track kind of a point, I suppose. The song really is structured somewhat predictably, but it's also structured comprehensively and effectively, and this is what I want the song to be structured like. Perhaps the breakdown towards the end isn't really necessary. That guitar solo could have definitely been extended and just lead into a final chorus without the song breaking down to showcase some kind of dynamic shift towards the end. I'm placing this at the very top of the B tier. I think this is a great addition to the charts, but I think there are more interesting and stronger compositions and arrangements in terms of the songs that I've placed above it. Still, this is probably the strongest vocal showcase out of all of the songs on the list that I talked about today. That would be my year-end tier list for 2024. And since I've been covering the more modern years now very recently, I'll have to say that this is it's not looking too bad. I think 2024 is kind of maybe a little bit of a standout in terms of the mostly recent years. In terms of the highest charting songs here, I'm a little bit disappointed. Like, there are a few songs that I'm definitely missing, like Die With A Smile by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. I really would have wished that was on here. That would easily have been an S tier song for me. I also think that we're missing my favorite Sabrina Carpenter song of the year, which was Feather. I saw that was maybe like 25, 26, somewhere on that. somewhere there on the Billboard year-end list, which is a bit unfortunate to miss out on. I would have definitely wanted to like replace something on this list with that. The Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga song was like number 60 or something on the year-end charts, which I could not believe, but that's the way it is. Regardless of all of those nitpicks I have, this is the year-end charts list that tiered out by me. So yeah, thank you for watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think of these songs in the comments as well. What's your favorite, like, let's keep it like this. What's your favorite superbly like popular hit song of 2024? And what's your favorite song of 2024 overall? If you have a different one, that is. Based on just picking the biggest hit song, that is my favorite, I'll have to go with Good Luck Babe by Chappell Roan, I'd have to say. And if you're interested to find out which ones my favorite songs are of the year that weren't necessarily charting highly, I will be posting my Groody Picks collection of my top 100 favorite songs of 2024 at the end of December or maybe early January, because I need to make a December list before that. I'm just rambling now. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas again to all of you, of course. Have a great one, and hopefully I will see you soon again. Take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.